Monday Navy story time. Let's talk about traditions, shall we? Now, when I was stationed at Suda Bay Crete, it wasn't a good duty station, it was a bad duty station. It really is what you make it at all times. So you hang around with a good group of people, and we found ways to entertain ourselves. Now, one member of the group that I used to hang out with was Oliver, Johnny Oliver. Absolute amazing guy, kind of good looking, always funny, always laughing, but he had a very particular way of drinking, unlike the rest of us, where he only drank 2 fingers of whiskey, Johnny Walker Blue Label, which is a very expensive bottle of whiskey, and unlike the rest of us, actually drank in moderation because we were just trying to drown our sorrows and anger, and he balanced out the rest of us grumpy old dicks. However, Oliver picked up E4, which is kind of a big deal. Now you're a little bit more in a leadership role, you have some responsibility, and there are certain traditions that go along with making this, such as when you do pick up E4, we take you out drinking, you buy the first round, and we buy the rest. I'm talking 4 horsemen, 3 wise men, all lined up in a row, and I had drawn the short straw, so I was the DD for the night, which also meant I had to get him back to base in a reasonable hour so he could get up in an 0600 wake-up call. Well, we seem to have a different opinion of reasonable time because we ended up closing out that bar, and I carried him back to my island hopper shitbox to get him back to base. Literally had to stuff him in my car, and I'm driving down the highway as he's leaned up against the passenger door jamb with the seatbelt wrapped around his head, and he looks over at me and goes, "What?" I didn't quite pick up what he was laying down, but then he popped his door open and went and laid a line of vomit down the highway for a number of 100 yards or so. I finally got him back to base, carried him up to his room, got his door open, threw him in bed, and hollered at him that I'd be back in 3 hours. He didn't really respond, and I figured silence was acquiescence, so I went back to my room, set 4 alarms to go off in 3 hours. Cut forward 3 hours to me banging on his door loud enough to wake up the entire barracks trying to get him out of bed. Eventually, I had to donkey kick his door open, finding him half naked, still in bed. Flipped his mattress, yelling at him to shower and shave, and he replied with that I am so hungover that if I tried to shave, my body would cut its own throat as a mercy. He went to his own frocking ceremony, smelling like a dumpster behind a bar with a 5 o'clock shadow like Wolverine. As the CO was walking past, shaking hands and hand inserts, he looked kind of like this. And you know, we were all real sympathetic, standing in formation, giggling our asses off. And I honestly, to this day, don't know if the CO just didn't want to look at him because he looked like such a dirtbag or couldn't make eye contact because all the fumes coming off him. Unfortunately, if you made it to the end of the video, you get to find out that Johnny Oliver, 2 years later, was hit and run by a drunk driver when he was stationed in Bahrain, leaving behind his parents and his newlywed wife. He was one of the best men and best sailors I ever knew. I miss him and I love him. What stories like this do you have? Please feel free to share in the comments or come and get involved in my Discord. And as always, have a nice day.